Empyreans, celestial beings, are the offspring of the gods from the upper planes. They possess universal beauty and an air of self-assuredness. Empyreans have the ability to manifest strong emotions that can influence the environment around them. When they are unhappy, natural elements may react accordingly, such as crying clouds, wilting flowers, or dead fish in bodies of water. Conversely, their jubilant moods bring sunshine, joyful animals, and melodious birds. While most Empyreans are benevolent, some have turned to evil. Corruption can occur when they venture to the lower planes or fall victim to curses from malevolent deities. Evil Empyreans often seek refuge on the material plane, where they can rule as tyrants over mortal kingdoms. Empyreans are immortal and do not age, but they can be slain. Even in the face of death, they fight fearlessly, refusing to accept their demise. When an Empyrean dies, its spirit returns to its home plane, where one of its divine parents may choose to resurrect it unless they have a compelling reason not to do so. Ettercaps are humanoid spider-like creatures that inhabit remote forests, where they tend to feed on and protect spiders much like shepherds with a flock of sheep. They possess silk-producing glands in their abdomen, which allow them to shoot sticky strands of webbing to ensnare their prey and create elaborate traps in their lairs. These silent killers stalk travelers and explorers who venture into their territory. Some victims stumble into traps or sections of the forest encased in webs, while others fall prey to the Ettercap's strangling web strands or its venomous bite. Despite dwelling in the wilderness, Ettercaps do not seek harmony with nature. Instead, their presence transforms the forest into a dark, web-choked realm infested with giant spiders, insects, and other menacing predators. Those who enter this eerie forest often become lost in a labyrinth of webs adorned with the remains and treasures of the Ettercap's victims. Ettercaps have a natural enmity with fey creatures. They set web snares to capture and consume sprites and pixies, and may encase a dryad's tree in webbing to trap the dryad. Timid fae sometimes seek assistance from outsiders to deal with Ettercap infestations, as they are ill-equipped to confront these malevolent beings on their own. An Ettin is a hulking giant with 2 heads, displaying crude characteristics reminiscent of orcs. It has a repugnant appearance, covered in filth and grime, with unkempt hair and foul breath. Its teeth are crooked, and tusks jut out from its mouths. The unique feature of an Ettin is its dual personality. Its 2 heads possess separate minds, personalities, and names. They each have their own preferences and idiosyncrasies, but they are bound together within the same body. Living in such close proximity breeds constant conflict, and the Ettin's heads frequently argue and bully each other. To refer to an Ettin, other creatures combine its 2 names to create a single compound name that encompasses both heads. For instance, if one head is named Hargle and the other Vargle, the Ettin would be called Hargle Vargle. Ettins are generally solitary creatures due to their inability to tolerate the presence of other Ettins. Conversations between 2 Ettins typically devolve into chaotic shouting matches. In addition to their differing personalities, Ettin heads are always of the same gender, with the corresponding body type. Females dominate the gender distribution among Ettins, and they initiate the mating rituals. Once they give birth, they abandon their offspring when the young are old enough to fend for themselves. However, when Ettins focus on a common goal or face a mutual threat, they can set aside their differences and work together effectively. Ettins wield a weapon in each hand, allowing them to make coordinated attacks with their twin heads. When sleeping, one head remains alert, providing a brief respite from the constant internal discord and keeping watch for intruders. The origin of Ettins is shrouded in legend, but some tales suggest a connection to orcs. According to these legends, orcs stumbled upon a temple to Demogorgon, a demonic entity, and were transformed into Ettins by its magic. This transformation drove them to the brink of madness, and they scattered into the wilderness to become the first Ettins. While the truth of this origin story remains uncertain, orcs view Ettins as distant relatives and often enlist them as guards, scouts, or raiders. Ettins may not be particularly loyal to their orcish handlers, but promises of food and plunder can win them over. A Flameskull is a haunting creature, a disembodied skull that glows with eerie green flames and emits maniacal, echoing laughter as it patrols its domain. When this undead entity discovers intruders, it launches blazing rays of fire from its eye sockets and casts menacing spells, drawing from the dark recesses of its fragmented memory. The origins of Flameskulls are rooted in dark spellcasting rituals conducted by necromancers and dark wizards. Through these sinister rites, a skull is transformed into a Flameskull, its hollow eye sockets alight with malevolent green flames. Despite its grotesque appearance, a Flameskull retains only faint recollections of its past life. While it may speak with its former voice and reminisce about key events from its history, it is but a shadow of its former self. However, this undead transformation bestows upon it the mastery of magic, allowing it to cast spells unhindered without the need for material or somatic components that it can no longer employ. Bound eternally to its creator's will, a Flameskull serves as a guardian, protector, or enforcer. Its directives must be meticulously crafted, as it interprets them with unwavering precision. A Flameskull's loyalty lies solely with its master, and it remains vigilant in fulfilling its designated tasks, safeguarding hidden treasures, secret chambers, or specific individuals as commanded. The Flameskull is perpetually wreathed in flames, emitting a bright, controlled light. It wields these flames as weapons, focusing them into fiery rays that shoot forth from its hollow eye sockets. One of the most peculiar traits of the Flameskull is its ability to rejuvenate. When shattered or destroyed, its fragments reform unless they come into contact with holy water or are subjected to dispel magic or remove curse spells. Should it no longer be able to fulfill its intended purpose, the reformed Flameskull gains autonomy and becomes beholden to no one. In the depths of the Underdark, the Flumphs can be found drifting gracefully through the subterranean realms. They move with the aid of jets, creating an eerie hum that has given them their name. These peculiar creatures emit a faint glow, and their color reflects their emotions. Soft pink indicates amusement, deep blue signifies sadness, green expresses curiosity, and crimson reflects anger. Despite their jellyfish-like appearance, Flumphs are highly intelligent beings possessed of great wisdom. They are known for their advanced knowledge in various fields, including religion, philosophy, mathematics, and more. Flumphs communicate telepathically, making them exceptionally skilled at sharing their insights and wisdom. One of the most remarkable aspects of Flumphs is their sensitivity to the emotional states of creatures around them. When they encounter beings whose thoughts resonate with goodness, Flumphs are drawn to them. Conversely, when they sense evil emanating from creatures, Flumphs swiftly retreat. Flumphs are unique in their feeding habits, drawing sustenance by siphoning mental energy from psionic creatures. They are often found near communities of mind flayers, aboleths, Githyanki, and Githzerai. Unlike parasitic creatures that harm their hosts, Flumphs feed passively, taking only what they require without causing any discomfort or harm to the source of their nourishment. The act of consuming psionic energy grants Flumphs insight into the thoughts and emotions of the creatures they feed upon. Many of these creatures are evil, leading Flumphs to experience dark thoughts, emotions, and urges that are at odds with their inherently pure nature. When Flumphs encounter virtuous adventurers, they eagerly share the secrets they have uncovered about these malevolent sources of energy with the hope of thwarting their evil intentions. Flumphs exist in intricate, organized groups known as cloisters. In these harmonious collectives, every Flumph has a defined place and purpose. Remarkably, Flumphs live cooperatively, devoid of the need for leaders, as each member contributes to the well-being of the group in their own unique way. In the lightless expanse of the Underdark, fungi reign supreme, taking the place of plants in this subterranean realm. These fungal organisms play a crucial role in the survival of many underground species, offering both nourishment and shelter in the unrelenting darkness. Fungi reproduce by spawning in organic matter, breaking it down to fuel their growth, and releasing spores into the air to generate new fungi. Unlike their surface counterparts, Underdark fungi thrive without sunlight or warmth and can be found in every corner and crevice. Transformed by the magical energies permeating the Underdark, these fungi often develop potent defensive mechanisms and abilities ranging from mimicry to offensive traits. Some of the largest fungi can give rise to vast subterranean forests that provide a habitat for countless creatures. One unique fungus found in the Underdark is the gas spore, believed to originate from the remains of beholders. These parasitic fungi grow rapidly from beholder corpses, taking on a deceptive resemblance to the dreaded eye tyrants from a distance. However, upon closer inspection, their true nature becomes apparent. Gas spores consist of a spherical, balloon-like body with a central eye, and rhizomy growths sprouting from their upper surfaces, mimicking a beholder's eye stalks. One of the most dangerous aspects of gas spores is their death burst. These creatures are filled with a lighter-than-air gas that allows them to float, much like beholders. When their fragile shells are pierced, they violently explode, releasing a cloud of deadly spores. Inhalation of these spores often results in the death of a creature within a day, and the corpse becomes fertile ground for new gas spores to emerge. Curiously, gas spores can carry memories from their beholder parents within them. When a gas spore bursts, its spores carry these fragmented memories into the air. Creatures that inhale these spores and survive may inherit some of these memories, potentially gaining valuable information about the former lair and other aspects of the beholder's life. Another notable fungus found in the Underdark is the Shrieker. This mushroom is roughly human-sized and emits a piercing screech when disturbed. While many creatures steer clear of shriekers to avoid their unsettling shrieks, some intelligent races in the Underdark cultivate these fungi as alarms to signal the approach of prey or to deter trespassers near their communities. The Galeb Duhr is a unique creature resembling a boulder with stumpy limbs that function as both arms and legs. It possesses a remarkable ability to animate rocks and boulders in its vicinity, making rocky terrains its typical habitat. The summoning of a Galeb Duhr is possible through potent magic, often drawing these creatures from the plane of Earth. Some Galeb Duhr also form naturally in areas touched by this plane. Unlike most elementals, these beings exhibit greater intelligence, allowing them to assess threats effectively and communicate with other creatures that venture into the territories they guard. Galeb Duhr function as steadfast stone guardians. They neither age nor require sustenance, making them excellent sentinels. A powerful druid, for example, may entrust a Galeb Duhr with the protection of a stone circle or a sacred hilltop, while others may designate one to safeguard an underground tomb or a wizard's tower. When they wish to remain hidden, Galeb Duhr can assume the appearance of ordinary boulders, remaining perfectly still for years at a time. Furthermore, these creatures are permanently bound to the material plane, so when they die, they do not return to the plane of Earth. With their excellent memories, they willingly share information about their surroundings with non-threatening creatures. One of the distinctive traits of a Galeb Duhr is its strong connection to stone and earth. It can infuse nearby rocks and boulders with a semblance of life, using these animated stones to deter intruders and defend the areas or objects they have been tasked to protect. When the need arises to approach these interlopers, the Galeb Duhr can retract its limbs close to its body and roll forward swiftly, displaying remarkable agility for a creature of its appearance. Gargoyles, often associated with the eerie stone sculptures that adorn grand buildings, are malevolent creatures of elemental earth. These creatures resemble grotesque statues and thrive in settings where stone and rock are abundant. Gargoyles can be as still as any stone sculpture, adding to the terror they inflict when they suddenly break from their suspended poses to attack. These creatures are masters of blending with their environment. They cling to rocky cliffs, mountains, and ledges in underground caves, remaining motionless for extended periods. This ability to maintain their stillness for years makes them perfect sentinels and ambush predators. Gargoyles have a sinister reputation for cruelty. Statues resembling gargoyles often feature in architectural designs across various cultures, intended to deter trespassers. Real gargoyles capitalize on this fear, hiding among decorative statues to surprise unsuspecting prey. They take pleasure in tormenting birds and rodents, but reserve their true craving for causing harm to sentient creatures. These creatures are not only fearsome predators, but can also be cunning servants. They are easily inspired by intelligent masters and excel at guarding homes, torturing intruders, and causing destruction. Gargoyles can be enlisted by powerful spellcasters to protect gates and walls. Their patience and durability make them loyal servants, even to the cruelest and most malevolent of masters. Demons are known to form alliances with gargoyles due to their shared penchant for chaos and destruction. Genies, mythical creatures of great power, are rare on the material plane, with most residing in the elemental planes, where they rule over lavish palaces and are attended by worshipful slaves. These beings are known for their brilliance, might, pride, and majestic demeanor. They possess a sense of entitlement, knowing that few entities besides gods and other genies can challenge their power. Genies originate from the melding of a sentient living creature's soul with the primordial matter of an elemental plane. This fusion results in a genie's manifest form, which is influenced by the soul's characteristics, such as gender and personality traits. Genies do not mate with each other to produce offspring, but rather emerge from this mysterious combination of spirit energy and elemental power. When a genie perishes, it leaves behind nothing but the trace of its native element. Mortal slaves play a crucial role in validating a genie's power and self-importance. To genies, slaves are considered living property, and many genies treasure their slaves, treating them with honor and respect. However, evil genies may mistreat their slaves, but only to a degree that ensures their usefulness. Genies despise being bound to service themselves, and only obey another's will when coerced or bribed. Genies possess the power of their native element, and some have the ability to grant wishes, making them desirable targets for mortal mages seeking to bind them into servitude. Noble genies, the rarest of their kind, have the power to grant wishes and often trade these wishes for desired objects. This constant indulgence has made them decadent, arrogant, and haughty, as they flaunt their superiority over other genies. While other genies respect their influence, they may also choose to defy noble genies when necessary. Genies have no inclination to worship gods, but revel in the worship of their own slaves, finding it more pleasing. They often view themselves as powerful as gods, and may even demand worship from mortals, continents, or entire worlds, believing their miraculous abilities and grandeur warrant such reverence. Dao are malevolent genies hailing from the elemental plane of Earth, and they are known for their avarice and malicious nature. These creatures adorn themselves with jewelry made from precious gems and rare metals. When in flight, their lower bodies transform into swirling columns of sand, showcasing their elemental connection. Dao have an insatiable appetite for wealth and are driven by their desire to outshine other members of their kind. Inhabitants of the elemental plane of Earth, Dao reside in complex networks of twisting tunnels and caverns adorned with veins of valuable ores. These subterranean dwellings are in a constant state of expansion as Dao mine and reshape the surrounding rock. Dao are indifferent to the suffering and poverty of others, often using powdered gems and gold dust to enhance their meals, treating wealth as a spice to savor. Dao, characterized by their greed, are not inclined to assist mortals unless there is something significant to be gained, typically in the form of treasure. They engage in trade and negotiation with Efreeti, but hold Djinn and Marids in contempt. Other inhabitants of the elemental plane of Earth avoid the Dao, who frequently seek new slaves to work in the treacherous underground realms of their floating Earth islands. One of the Dao's most notorious practices is their enslavement of individuals acquired through trade or other means. These unfortunate souls are forced to labor in the Dao's perilous subterranean mines, often amidst rumbling earthquakes. Ironically, despite their fondness for enslaving others, the Dao deeply despise being enslaved themselves. Cunning wizards have been known to lure Dao to the material plane and trap them within magic gemstones or iron flasks. The Dao's own greed often makes them susceptible to such tricks and manipulation by mortal spellcasters. Djinn are regal genies originating from the elemental plane of air. They are known for their pride, sensuality, and striking appearance, often described as tall, well-muscled humanoids with blue skin and dark eyes. Djinn prefer clothing made of airy, shimmering silks, which not only showcase their physique but also provide comfort. These elemental beings rule over floating islands made of clouds and tuft, adorning them with grand pavilions, magnificent buildings, courtyards, fountains, and lush gardens. Djinn revel in a life of luxury, savoring succulent fruits, aromatic wines, exquisite perfumes, and melodious music. Djinn are also renowned for their mischievous nature and generally favorable disposition toward mortals. Among other genies, they maintain a somewhat aloof stance with Efreet and Marids, whom they perceive as arrogant. However, they openly disdain Dao and readily oppose them when provoked. Djinn are masters of the wind, wielding control over the air with great finesse. They can summon and direct powerful whirlwinds, which serve as both a means of transportation and a formidable weapon. In combat, Djinn can assault their adversaries with wind and thunder, often retreating on the gusts of wind they command if the odds turn against them. When they take flight, their lower bodies transform into swirling columns of air. Despite their capabilities, Djinn hold a belief that servitude is dictated by fate and that resisting fate is futile. Consequently, they are the most accommodating among genies when it comes to servitude, even though they never truly enjoy it. Djinn treat their slaves with kindness and protectiveness, parting with them reluctantly when necessary. To secure the services of a Djinni, mortals may offer valuable gifts or employ flattery to win their cooperation. Powerful wizards, on the other hand, can bypass such methods by summoning, binding, or imprisoning a Djinni through magical means. Djinn, however, resent the use of imprisonment, viewing it as a cruel act that unscrupulous wizards have perpetrated throughout history. Betrayal by a mortal, especially one they trusted, is considered a heinous act, and Djinn will seek vengeance for such treachery. Efreeti, massive genies hailing from the elemental plane of fire, are beings of fire and flame. Their imposing figures are adorned with fine silk caftans and damask robes that drape over magma red or coal black skin. They accessorize with an array of brass and gold jewelry, sparkling with precious gems. When an Efreeti takes flight, its lower body transforms into a column of smoke and embers. Efreeti are characterized by their haughty and ruthless nature. They possess a deep disdain for servitude and harbor an unrelenting thirst for vengeance against those who wrong them. Despite their cruel tendencies, Efreeti view their race as just and orderly, considering themselves enlightened in terms of self-interest. These genies are notorious for their oppressive slave trade practices. They raid the elemental plane of fire, as well as other planes, to capture slaves. These unfortunate captives are then transported to the elemental plane of fire, where Efreeti rule as tyrants. Efreeti favor the cruelest among their slaves, even arming some with whips to maintain control over the others. Efreeti are primarily found on the elemental plane of fire, dwelling in imposing fortresses constructed from black glass and basalt, often surrounded by fiery lakes. The legendary City of Brass is another hub of Efreeti activity. Furthermore, Efreeti establish military outposts across various planes, populated by their minions and slaves. On the material plane, Efreeti are drawn to fiery regions such as volcanoes and blazing deserts. This inclination frequently leads to conflicts with other elemental beings, including Djinn that ride desert whirlwinds and earthbound Dao. However, Efreeti reserve their utmost disdain for Marids, with whom they have a long history of passionate conflict and enmity. Marids, hailing from the elemental plane of water, are regarded as the most magnificent among Genie kind. Despite all genies possessing great power, Marids consider themselves superior to Djinn, Tao and Efreeti. These beings are large and piscine in form, presenting a unique and captivating sight. Their attire often consists of finely stitched vests and vibrant pantaloons. Marids speak with voices as gentle as sea breezes or as resonant as crashing waves on rocky cliffs. In flight, their lower bodies transform into columns of foamy water. Masters of water. Water is the natural element of Marids, granting them unparalleled control over it. They can walk on water's surface and breathe beneath it effortlessly. Marids have the ability to create water, shape clouds of fog and mist from vapor in the air, transform into mist, and even wield water as a weapon against their adversaries. Marid residences. Marids are a rare sight on the material plane. They reside in grand coral fortresses located in the elemental plane of water, floating in the plane's depths. These citadels house opulent, air-filled chambers where slaves and guests stay. Marids seek slaves not for labor, but for the status of ownership. Skilled slaves, including artists, entertainers, and storytellers, are highly valued and sometimes abducted for use in Marid courts. Egotistical rulers. All Marids assume noble titles, with an abundance of shahs, sultans, muftis, and khedives among them. Many of these titles are merely superficial, reflecting the Marids' inflated sense of self-importance. Marids hold themselves superior to all others, including fellow Genies. They tolerate Djinn, have disdain for Tao, and outright despise Efreeti. Humanoids rank among the lowest creatures Marids interact with, though they occasionally engage with powerful wizards and influential leaders. Dealing with Marids requires diplomacy, flattery, and deference, as offending them can lead to their wrath. Marids are renowned storytellers, often narrating tales that extol their own prowess and creativity. While they tend to embellish their stories, they are not always malevolent in their deceptions, and they take offense when lesser beings interrupt their tales. A ghost is the lingering soul of a once living creature, forever bound to haunt a specific location, creature, or object that held significance to it during its life. These spectral entities are driven by unfinished business. A ghost is tormented by a deep yearning to complete unresolved tasks from its past life. It may seek vengeance for its own death, strive to fulfill an unfulfilled oath, or attempt to deliver a message to a loved one left behind. In some cases, a ghost may not even be aware that it has died and continue to perform routine actions from its past. On the darker side, certain ghosts are motivated by malevolence and spite, relentlessly haunting until every member of a specific family or organization meets their doom. To put an end to a haunting by a ghost, one must typically address the unresolved issues tied to its former life. Ghosts often possess vulnerabilities linked to their past experiences, and exploiting these weaknesses can lead to their destruction. For instance, the ghost of a person who suffered a gruesome death may be vulnerable to the very instruments that caused their demise. Similarly, the ghost of a gardener might become more susceptible when exposed to a potent floral fragrance. Ghostly manifestations are associated with places haunted by these restless souls. Profound sensations of sadness, loneliness, and unfulfilled yearning permeate such locations. Unusual sounds or eerie silences fill the air, creating an unsettling atmosphere. Rooms with roaring fires might inexplicably develop cold spots, while a choking stench can emerge seemingly from nowhere. Inanimate objects may move on their own, and even corpses might rise from their graves. It's important to note that ghosts have no control over these manifestations. They occur spontaneously and contribute to the eerie ambience of their presence. Ghouls are nocturnal predators that move in packs, driven by an insatiable hunger for the flesh of humanoids. These vile creatures thrive in locations tainted by decay and death, similar to maggots or carrion beetles. Ghouls prefer haunting places where corpses and decomposing remains are abundant. When corpses are scarce, they turn their attention to living beings, seeking to turn them into fresh corpses. It's important to note that ghouls do not gain nourishment from the flesh they consume. Instead, they are compelled by an unending hunger that drives their insatiable appetite. Their undead bodies never decompose, allowing them to persist in crypts and tombs for extended periods without sustenance. Ghouls trace their origins to the abyss, the chaotic and demonic plane. The first ghoul, Dorasane, was an elf who became a devout follower of Orcus, the demon prince of undeath. Turning against his own kind, Dorasane honored Orcus by feasting on humanoid flesh. In return for his loyalty, Orcus transformed Dorasane into the very first ghoul. Dorasane continued to serve Orcus faithfully, creating more ghouls from the demon lord's other followers. However, his reign came to an end when Yinogu, the demonic Gnoll lord, launched an attack, depriving Dorasane of his domain in the abyss. When Orcus refused to intervene, Dorasane sought help from the elf gods, who took pity on him and assisted in his escape. As a result of this divine intervention, elves became immune to the paralytic touch of ghouls. Occasionally, Orcus bestows a stronger infusion of abyssal energy upon a ghoul, transforming it into a Ghast. Unlike their less intelligent ghoul counterparts, Ghasts are cunning and capable of leading packs of ghouls, issuing commands and coordinating their actions. Giants, once rulers of vast empires, now exist in scattered clans across the world, holding on to their ancient customs and traditions. These colossal beings have a history that stretches back almost as far as dragons. Giants and dragons engaged in bitter wars throughout their shared history, although the origins of their conflict have been lost to time. Myths and stories passed down through generations depict the giants as the rightful heirs of a glorious dawn, vilifying the primeval worms. This animosity between giants and dragons still lingers today, often leading to conflict when they cross paths. The various giant races, including cloud, fire, frost, hill, stone, and storm giants, share common elements of history, religion, and culture. Despite differences, they consider themselves kindred, reserving most of their animosity for territorial disputes and ambitions. Giants adhere to a caste structure called the Ordning, which assigns a social rank to each giant. This highly organized system defines the social hierarchy, allowing giants to understand their place in society and the relative status of others. The Ordning is specific to each giant race and is based on various qualities or skills that giants value highly. Giants dedicate their lives to excelling in these qualities, with each race emphasizing different criteria. At the pinnacle of the Ordning, the giants are ranked by their status. Storm giants hold the highest position, followed by cloud giants, fire giants, frost giants, stone giants, hill giants, and finally, giant kin like Fomorians, Ettins, and ogres. Regardless of their rank within their own race, a giant is considered superior to another giant of an inferior type. Disrespecting or betraying giants of different types is not inherently evil, but is viewed as rude. This intricate caste system shapes the giants' interactions and relationships, preserving their ancient customs and hierarchical structure. Cloud giants, known for their extravagant lifestyles and lofty dispositions, have a distinct appearance characterized by their muscular frames, light skin, and hair that can range from silver to blue. They live in scattered regions high above the world, often dwelling in castles on mountaintops or solid clouds, remnants of their lost empires. These giants have an affinity for the magic of their airy domains, enabling them to transform into mist and create billowing fog. Cloud giants are skilled spellcasters, rivaling other giants in their magical abilities. Some possess the power to control weather, conjure storms, and manipulate the wind, almost as proficiently as their cousins, the storm giants. Within the giant hierarchy, cloud giants hold a lower position than storm giants, but due to the reclusive nature of storm giants, many cloud giants consider themselves the most powerful among the giant races. In their pursuit of wealth and power, cloud giants command other giants to acquire treasures and art on their behalf. They employ fire giants as skilled smiths and craftsmen, and utilize frost giants as raiders and plunderers. Hill giants, seen as brutes, are ordered to perform menial tasks or fight for the cloud giants' amusement. Cloud giants are known for maintaining remarkable gardens on their mountain summits and solid clouds, yielding produce of extraordinary size. These giants also keep flying beasts of prey, such as griffins, peritons, and wyverns, along with trained predators like owlbears and lions to protect their domains. The patron god of cloud giants is Memnor, the trickster, renowned for his cleverness and cunning. Cloud giants align themselves with aspects of Memnor's character, with good cloud giants emulating his intellect and eloquence, while evil ones follow his deceitfulness and self-interest. A cloud giant's position in the ordning, their caste system, is determined by the treasure they accumulate, the opulent wealth they display, and the lavish gifts they offer to fellow cloud giants. The beauty and wonder of these treasures are crucial, emphasizing aesthetics over raw value. Cloud giants are known for their love of gambling and frequently place high-stakes bets on events outside their control, such as the fates of lesser creatures or the outcomes of wars among humanoid nations. Cheating is tolerated as long as it remains undetected, viewed as a clever strategy that honors Memnor. Fire giants, renowned for their mastery of metalwork and organized militaristic society, make their homes amidst volcanic landscapes, lava flows, and rocky mountains. These giants are known for their ruthless and disciplined nature. Fire giant fortresses are strategically built around or within volcanoes, harnessing the intense heat of these environments to fuel their forges. The fortress walls, made of iron, glow with an orange hue from the intense heat. In regions where volcanic heat is scarce, fire giants mine coal to feed their furnaces. Their strongholds constantly emit plumes of sooty smoke, marking their presence in the landscape. While fire giants thrive in hot environments, they can adapt to cold surroundings with effort. They wear heavy woolen clothing and furs to stay warm and ensure their hearth fires burn brightly. From a young age, fire giants are raised in a culture of war. Songs of battle are chanted at their cradles, and as children they engage in warlike games, such as hurling igneous rocks at each other across magma rivers. Formal martial training becomes an integral part of their lives, and their songs and dances are centered around the themes of combat. Fire giants are disciplined fighters and skilled tacticians, often surprising their enemies with their strategic prowess. Fire giants conquer humanoid races in war, making them serfs who toil on the outskirts of fire giant fortresses, tending to farms, livestock, and fields. The produce from these lands is heavily taxed by the fire giant rulers. Those not destined for the fields may be sent to work in the mines, where they extract precious ores and gemstones from deep within the earth. Fire giants do not rely on writing or arithmetic, but rather on insight and experience for their craftsmanship. However, they may keep slaves at court who possess such skills. Serfs who mine in the tunnels face dangerous and difficult work, and few of them survive for long. The safety of these slaves is of little concern to the fire giants, who prioritize the extraction and processing of valuable resources. Despite their fearsome reputation as conquerors, fire giants are skilled artisans. They excel in various forms of craftsmanship, including smelting, blacksmithing, engineering, and stonecraft. Their creations showcase quality and artistry, even in their implements of destruction and weapons of war. Fire giants constantly strive to build formidable fortresses and powerful siege weapons, often experimenting with alloys to craft the toughest armor. Fire giants constantly strive to build formidable fortresses and powerful siege weapons, often experimenting with alloys to craft the toughest armor and forging swords capable of piercing it. Giants high in the ordning, their caste system, tend to be the most intelligent and physically powerful among their kind. Frost giants, formidable and hardy warriors, are known for their brutal raids and pillaging activities in the freezing lands beyond civilization. They value brute strength and martial prowess above all else. Frost giants have a distinct appearance, with pale white or light blue hair and beards, often covered in frost and icicles. Their skin takes on a bluish hue, reminiscent of glacial ice. These giants call high peaks and glacial rifts their home, where the sun's warmth is scarce and winter reigns supreme. In these harsh lands, crops do not grow, and livestock are sparse. Instead, they rely on hunting wild game in the frigid tundra and mountains, consuming fresh kills without the need for cooking. Reavers of the Storm, frost giants are known for their violent raids. War horns sound as they march from their icy fortresses amid blizzards, leaving destruction in their wake. Villages and settlements fall to ruin, and any creatures in their path meet a grim end. Inns, taverns, and smithies are ransacked, with ale, mead, iron, and steel being their primary spoils. They have little use for coins or trinkets, but highly value large gems and jewelry that can be worn as trophies or traded with other giants who excel in crafting. Frost giants respect physical might above all else. Their place in the Ordning, a caste system among giants, is determined by displays of strength, such as well-defined musculature, battle scars, or gruesome trophies made from the bodies of their defeated foes. The allocation of tasks like hunting, child-rearing, and crafting is based on physical strength and endurance. When frost giants from different clans meet, disputes are often settled through wrestling matches, turning encounters into boisterous festivals or chaotic melees. While frost giants generally disdain crafting, they do value skills like carving and leatherwork. They fashion clothing from the skins and bones of hunted beasts and craft bone or ivory into jewelry, weapon handles, and tools. Recycling the equipment of their smaller adversaries, they create giant-sized spears by attaching sword blades to wooden hafts and construct armor from strung-together shields. The most coveted trophies come from slain dragons, with the greatest jarls wearing armor made from dragon scales or wielding weapons fashioned from dragon teeth or claws. Hill giants are large, brutish creatures known for their selfish and dim-witted nature. They constantly search for food, hunting, foraging, and raiding smaller creatures and settlements to satisfy their insatiable hunger. Their lack of intelligence and laziness would have led to their demise if not for their formidable size and strength. These giants are primitive in nature and typically dwell in hills and mountain valleys, often constructing rudimentary dwellings from rough timber, mud, and wattle. Their tan skin results from a life spent wandering the hilly terrain, and their attire consists of poorly stitched animal skins held together with hair and leather thongs. Hill giants wield makeshift weapons such as uprooted trees and rocks. Hill giants equate size with power, making them view smaller creatures and animals as easy prey, while beings like dragons and other giants are considered formidable adversaries. Though they don't realize it, hill giants unintentionally follow a social order among giants. The tallest and fattest giant capable of mobility typically becomes the tribe's chief. However, on rare occasions, a clever hill giant can manipulate giants of higher status to subvert this order. Hill giants are voracious eaters and consume anything that isn't clearly poisonous, including rotten meat, decaying plants, and even mud. Farmers particularly dread them, as a single hill giant can devastate an entire herd of livestock, followed by the plundering of crops and even the consumption of farm families if they are present. These giants are characterized by their simplicity and lack of cultural development. They mimic the traditions of creatures they briefly observe before consuming them. Deception is not in their nature, and they are straightforward in conversation. Attempting to reason with a hill giant is generally futile, but clever beings can manipulate them for their benefit. Hill giants are known for their explosive tempers. If they feel deceived, insulted, or made a fool of, they can unleash their wrath on anything in their path. Even after exacting revenge, they might continue their rampage until their anger subsides, or they find something more interesting to occupy their attention. When they claim kingship over a territory inhabited by other humanoids, they rule with terror and tyranny, making erratic decisions and occasionally devouring their subjects on a whim. Stone giants are known for their reclusive, quiet, and peaceful nature as long as they are left undisturbed. They possess granite gray skin, gaunt features, and sunken black eyes that give them a stern appearance. These giants are private beings, keeping their lives and art hidden away from the world. Their homes are secluded caves, and cavern networks serve as their towns. Rocky tunnels act as their roads, while underground streams become their waterways. Isolated mountain ranges are like continents to them, and they rarely cross the vast stretches of land that they consider as oceans. Deep within their dark, silent caves, stone giants meticulously carve intricate designs, measuring time by the echoing drip of water into cavern pools. In the deepest chambers of their settlements, they have holy places where silence and darkness reign supreme, and the stone is sculpted with unparalleled beauty. Among stone giants, artistry is held in the highest regard. They engage in various artistic disciplines, creating murals and paintings across cavern walls. Their greatest skill is stone carving, where they believe that the shapes they draw from raw stone reveal divine meaning inspired by their god, scorious stone bones. The tribe's best carvers become leaders, shamans, and prophets, and their hands are believed to channel the divine as they work. Despite their enormous size and strength, stone giants are lithe and graceful. They are known for their athletic ability in rock-throwing competitions, which grant them high rank in their society. Even in combat, they display artistry and poise. Stone giants view the world outside their underground homes as a realm of dreams where nothing is entirely real or true. Their behavior in the surface world resembles how humanoids might act in their own dreams, making little account for their actions and not fully trusting what they see or hear. Promises made above ground need not be honored, and insults can be hurled without apology. In the dreaming world beneath the sky, killing prey or sentient beings carries no guilt. Those stone giants lacking in athletic grace or artistic skill dwell at the fringes of their society, serving as the tribe's guardians and hunters. Trespassers who venture into their mountainous territories often face stone giants, hurling rocks and splintered stone as a warning. Survivors often misconstrue their actions as brutal violence, unaware that these stone giants are different from their more artistic and quiet kin. Storm giants are contemplative seers, known for their distant and secluded existence. Most of them have pale purple-gray skin and hair, along with striking emerald eyes. However, some rare individuals among them are violet-skinned, with deep violet or blue-black hair and silvery gray or purple eyes. They are typically benevolent and wise, but when provoked, their fury can have far-reaching consequences. These giants choose to live in isolated refuges far removed from mortal civilization. Some dwell in cloud-top castles so high that even flying dragons appear as mere specks below. Others make their homes atop towering mountain peaks that pierce through the clouds. Some live in palaces hidden beneath the sea, covered with algae and coral, or in formidable fortresses within undersea rifts. Storm giants remember the days of ancient giant empires, a time when the god Anim's influence was prevalent. They strive to restore the lost glory of those empires and seek Anim's favor. Unlike other giants, they do not vie for status in the ordning. Instead, they spend centuries in contemplative seclusion, watching the heavens and the depths of the ocean for signs, symbols, and omens. These giants possess a wide perspective on the world and have the ability to foretell the rise and fall of kings and empires, discern the patterns within seemingly unrelated events, and grasp the secrets of the past and future. They accumulate vast knowledge by reading omens and making prophecies. While storm giants choose not to intervene in the events of the world, they may disclose certain secrets to benevolent beings who visit their remote domains with respect. However, they are formidable when angered and can unleash utter destruction. Storm giants are solitary beings, communicating infrequently with their own kind. They may come together to compare signs and omens or engage in rare courtship rituals. Once they raise a child to maturity, storm giant parents return to their beloved solitary lives. In some humanoid cultures, storm giants are revered and worshipped like lesser gods. These cultures create myths and stories around the giant's exploits and vast knowledge. However, a storm giant's actions are driven by its own conscience rather than any cultural laws or codes, making them a force to be reckoned with if their motivations turn towards greed or petty power. The Gibbering Mouther is a monstrous creation, a mass of eyes, mouths, and liquefied matter from its victims. Victims absorbed by it become gibbering and insane, driven to consume everything in reach. This creature's body is formless, propelled by oozing and anchoring its mouths to the ground. It moves slowly but navigates water, mud, and quicksand with ease. When it detects prey, its mouths murmur and chatter, each with a different voice, causing fear, madness, or paralysis in those who hear it. Those overcome by terror may flee or stand fixated as the Mouther approaches. Driven to devour any creature it can reach, the Gibbering Mouther flows over its victims while gnawing and swallowing them, leaving nothing behind. It can even liquefy stone, hindering those trying to escape. The eyes and mouths of consumed victims resurface, joining the chorus of gibbering for the next meal. The warlike Githyanki and the contemplative Githzerai were once a single enslaved race under Mind Flayers. Gith, a great leader, and Zerthamon, a challenger to Gith's rule, eventually split them into two separate cultures due to their differing ideologies. Githyanki are ruthless conquerors known for plundering countless worlds from astral vessels and red dragons. They adorn themselves with feathers, beads, gems, and precious metals, wielding legendary silver swords. Under the rule of the dread Lich Queen Vlaakith, they undertake devastating raids, leaving shattered survivors in their wake. Followers of Gith, they have a militaristic society with a strict caste system. They despise their former Mind Flayer masters and the Githzerai, showing contempt for all other races. Githyanki knights wield silver swords, which channel their willpower to deal both psychic and physical damage, becoming priceless relics. They also have a unique alliance with red dragons, forged by Gith and Tiamat. Githyanki establish outposts on the material plane to raise their young and train them in military academies. Githzerai are focused philosophers and ascetics, pursuing lives of rigid order on islands of order in the chaotic plane of Limbo. Lean and muscular, they wear plain clothing and trust few creatures outside their kind. They have developed psionic abilities and mental barriers for self-defense. They willingly dwell in the chaos of Limbo, using their mental power to create sanctuaries and fortresses. These fortress monasteries follow strict schedules of martial arts training and devotions. Merit-based hierarchy prevails among the Githzerai, with wise teachers and skilled combatants becoming leaders. They revere Zerthamon, who opposed Gith's warmongering, and skilled Githzerai monks known as Zerths can shift between planes using their minds. While they rarely interact with other realms, some Githzerai monasteries admit advanced monks from other races. As a special devotion, they organize illithid hunting parties, known as Rakmus, on other planes to avenge their past enslavement. Gnolls are feral humanoids known for their brutal attacks on settlements along the frontiers and borderlands. They slaughter their victims and consume their flesh. These creatures have a demonic origin, originating when the demon lord Yinogu arrived on the material plane, transforming packs of ordinary hyenas into the first Gnolls. After Yinogu's banishment back to the Abyss, Gnolls scattered across the world, serving as a reminder of demonic power. Gnolls are nomadic destroyers, striking randomly and plundering settlements. They rarely build permanent structures or craft items, relying on scavenging from their victims. Their insatiable thirst for blood makes them enemies to all, including themselves. Gnoll pack lords are the alphas of their packs, ruling through strength and cunning. They adorn themselves with trophies and seek to gain favor with Yinogu. Gnoll fangs of Yinogu are those favored by the demon lord, undergoing a transformation that increases the Gnoll population. To control this population, one must find and kill the fang. Goblins are small, self-centered humanoids that inhabit caves, abandoned mines, and dark dungeons. They are individually weak, but often gather in large numbers, driven by a craving for power and a tendency to abuse any authority they obtain. Belonging to the goblinoid family, which includes their larger cousins, hobgoblins, and bugbears, goblins are often bullied by these relatives. They are lazy and undisciplined, making them unsuitable for servitude or guard duties. Motivated by greed and malice, goblins can't resist celebrating their victories with dances and revelry. Afterward, they take delight in tormenting other creatures and engage in various forms of wickedness. Goblin society is ruled by the strongest or smartest among them. A goblin boss may control a single lair, while a goblin king or queen, essentially an empowered boss, may rule over hundreds of goblins in multiple lairs. Goblin bosses are easily replaced, sometimes by hobgoblin warlords or bugbear chiefs. Goblin lairs are challenging for intruders due to alarms and narrow tunnels that goblins can navigate effortlessly. These tunnels allow them to flee or ambush their enemies effectively. Goblins have an affinity for rats and wolves, raising them as companions and mounts. They shun sunlight and prefer underground lairs during the day. When hunting from wolfpack, they use hit-and-run tactics. Maglubayet the Mighty One is the greater god of goblinoids, worshipped out of fear rather than admiration. Goblins believe that dying in battle means joining Maglubayet's army on the plain of Acheron, a privilege they dread, fearing eternal tyranny more than death itself. Deep gnomes, or Svirfneblin, dwell far below the surface in intricate warrens and sculpted caverns. They survive through stealth, cleverness, and tenacity. Their gray skin allows them to blend into stonework, and despite their small stature, they are surprisingly heavy and strong. A typical Svirfneblin enclave is home to several hundred deep gnomes and is well fortified. Secret tunnels connect the settlement and serve as evacuation routes during attacks. Svirfneblin have established gender roles, with bald males and females having stringy gray hair. Traditionally, females manage the enclaves, while males scout the outskirts for enemies and precious gemstone deposits. These gnomes cherish gemstones, particularly rubies, harvested from deep mines in the Underdark. Their quest for gems often leads to conflicts with beholders, drow, quotoa, duergar, and mind flayers. Among these threats, they fear and despise the murderous demon-worshipping drow the most. Deep gnomes are often accompanied by creatures from the elemental plane of Earth, with some Svirfneblin capable of summoning such beings. These Earth creatures protect Svirfneblin settlements, with Exorn being enticed to serve in exchange for gems to feed on. Goblins are small, self-centered humanoids that inhabit caves, abandoned mines, and dark dungeons. They are individually weak, but often gather in large numbers, driven by a craving for power and a tendency to abuse any authority they obtain. Belonging to the goblinoid family, which includes their larger cousins, hobgoblins, and bugbears, goblins are often bullied by these relatives. They are lazy and undisciplined, making them unsuitable for servitude or guard duties. Motivated by greed and malice, goblins can't resist celebrating their victories with dances and revelry. Afterward, they take delight in tormenting other creatures and engage in various forms of wickedness. Goblin society is ruled by the strongest or smartest among them. A goblin boss may control a single lair, while a goblin king or queen, essentially an empowered boss, may rule over hundreds of goblins in multiple lairs. Goblin bosses are easily replaced, sometimes by hobgoblin warlords or bugbear chiefs. Goblin lairs are challenging for intruders due to alarms and narrow tunnels that goblins can navigate effortlessly. These tunnels allow them to flee or ambush their enemies effectively. Goblins have an affinity for rats and wolves, raising them as companions and mounts. They shun sunlight and prefer underground lairs during the day. When hunting from wolfpack, they use hit-and-run tactics. Maglubayet the Mighty One is the greater god of goblinoids, worshipped out of fear rather than admiration. Goblins believe that dying in battle means joining Maglubayet's army on the plain of Acheron, a privilege they dread, fearing eternal tyranny more than death itself. Golems are formidable creatures crafted from humble materials such as clay, flesh, and bones, iron, or stone. Despite their unassuming origins, they possess incredible power and durability. Golems are devoid of ambition, do not require sustenance, feel no pain, and exhibit no remorse. They exist solely to follow the orders of their creators, whether that entails protecting or attacking. The creation of a golem requires a manual of golems, which provides comprehensive instructions for crafting a specific type of golem. Building a golem's body demands exceptional skill in sculpting, stone cutting, ironworking, or surgery. The creator or a team of master artisans constructs the body from materials like clay, flesh, iron, or stone. The critical step in golem creation involves infusing the constructed body with a spirit from the elemental plane of Earth. This spirit serves as a tiny spark of life, lacking memory, personality, or history. It merely imparts the ability to move and obey, binding it to the artificial body and subjecting it to the creator's will. Golems are ageless guardians, capable of protecting sacred sites, tombs, or treasure vaults long after their creators have passed away. They endure physical damage and resist all but the most powerful spells. Some golems are designed with special amulets or items that allow their possessor to control them, even when their original creator is deceased. These creatures exhibit blind obedience to their masters. In the presence of their creator or controller, golems perform flawlessly. If left without instructions or incapacitated, they will continue following their last orders to the best of their ability. When unable to fulfill their commands, golems may react violently or stand still. Conflicting orders may cause them to alternate between them. Golems lack the capacity for independent thought or action. They comprehend their commands but possess no understanding of language beyond that. Consequently, they cannot be reasoned with or deceived through words. They are bound solely by their programming and orders.